2024 was a very interesting year in the world of physical media, and in this video, I'd like to share with you a few of my favorite releases of the year. Welcome back to Movies Good, Internet Bad. This is Corey, and like I mentioned, we're going to talk about some of my favorite discs that have come out this year. Go ahead and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Like this video to help pump the algorithm, and click that notifications bell so you don't miss any future videos. So, as I mentioned before, very interesting year in the world of physical media. Best Buy just stopped selling movies entirely. Most Target locations stopped selling movies entirely. Something like Kaleidoscape, which is a very high-dollar item, came into the forefront and is presenting a solution for digital downloads, but at full resolution with the full bit rates and all the audio you could ask for. So where do discs fit into this? Well, I think they still hold a place in the market. Obviously, for many of us, affording something like a $4,000 Kaleidoscape at its entry price is a little bit too high. So 4K discs, Blu-rays still hold a very special place to a lot of people. And I actually think that collecting in general has become more important to a lot of folks over the last couple of years. So let's get right into it. Starting out, I have a few honorable mentions, and some of these may not be the movies that you think based off the channel that you're watching. But my first one here is actually Deadpool and Wolverine. Now, we reviewed this movie on the channel, and suffice it to say, not my favorite film of the year. However, it is a very important disc in the world of the Walt Disney Studios because it is one of the very first that they've had in a very long time that features Dolby Vision. For a very long time, Disney has been HDR10 only. They only had two discs, one being Star Wars The Last Jedi, the other being the original Black Panther film that featured Dolby Vision, but now Deadpool and Wolverine does as well. This also marks a change in how Disney authors and distributes their discs. They now actually do that directly through Sony, and a lot of people think that that might be where the Dolby Vision part of things came from. It also has a very loud Dolby Atmos mix with a lot of low frequency, which is something that a lot of Disney mixes have been missing out on over the last couple of years. So hopefully, for 2024 and beyond, with this new partnership with Sony, Disney will be pumping out good discs that everybody can get excited about. No more Atmos, as they used to call it. Second one, going right along with that, is Alien Romulus. This is a 20th century release, but again, that means it's the Walt Disney Company. Another disc that features Dolby Vision as well as Dolby Atmos. We reviewed that film on the channel too, and boy, the cinematography and the lighting and the moodiness of that film is really captured well on the disc. The HDR does wonders for it. Has a very good Dolby Atmos mix, very creepy, very atmospheric. Lots of stuff going on in your surround channels, your height channels, nice use of LFE. Love that disc for sure. Another honorable mention here, an oldie but a goodie, Alfred Hitchcock's North by Northwest. This was remastered at 13K off of the VistaVision film, and then was scanned down to 4K for the release. It genuinely looks like a movie that you could, I hate the cliche, but it could have been shot yesterday. It's really pretty unbelievable how good that movie looks. It also got a Dolby Atmos soundtrack, which is a little bit of a rarity for the Hitchcock films. A lot of those are two-channel audio to kind of replicate the feel of the older films, but they opted to go with the big Dolby Atmos one for it. If you haven't seen that movie, it was a film that was in my watching gap, and I was very happy to finally get to see it this year, because a lot of major blockbusters these days all kind of draw inspiration from North by Northwest. So very, very cool there. And then lastly, on the honorable mentions list, we have Furiosa, a Mad Max saga. We also reviewed this a little bit on the channel when we first started. Another movie that some folks kind of slept on in the theaters, which is weird considering how loved Mad Max Fury Road is. But Furiosa, not only is it a great movie, but it has an awesome video transfer and an incredible Dolby Atmos track. Your walls will be shaking. All of your speakers will be engaged. Definitely worth picking up. If you haven't seen the film, or if you have and you're a collector like me, definitely worth scooping up when you've got the time. So let's get into some of my absolute favorites for this year. I'm not going to do a 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 list. I'm going to do my favorite from certain categories to kind of mix things up a little bit. So my favorite surprise of the year comes to us from Shout Studios, which is Mike Flanagan's Hush. You might be saying, why this movie? Well, this movie came out on Netflix a long time ago, and Netflix used to be the only place that you could watch it. That is no longer the case. A couple years back, it just kind of disappeared off of Netflix, and everyone had thought that the movie was lost, that it was just gone. There was going to be no way to see it from here on out. Mike Flanagan and his team, they came together, they got the rights back to it. They did a digital release earlier in the year, and then they did a full 4K release later on. Not only does it look great and sound great, it also comes with an extra 4K disc that has a different cut of the film on it that's called the shush cut, that takes away a lot of the score. So it's really just a musicless feature. It's very eerie, and it's just awesome to see movies like that you think will never see the light of day again, and they get a proper release from a proper studio, and they're done justice. So really, really cool. Definitely pick that one up if you got the chance. So for my next one, it is going to be the movie that I wish would have been released on 4K, and that is Luca Guadagnino's Challengers. We talked about this movie on the channel as well. It's one of both Shane and my favorites of the entire year, but sadly, only a 1080p Blu-ray release. It has a Dolby Atmos track, so the great soundtrack and score from Trent Reznor and Atticus Ross, it's still going to be there for you, but it is not going to have that 4K resolution or the HDR application, and with as visually stunning as that movie is, I think it would be a great candidate for that. That being said, one of Luca's earlier films, Bones and All, starring Timothée Chalamet, it did get a release from Shout Studios earlier this year, so maybe a year or so down the road, we'll be getting a double dip with Challengers, and you can bet that I'll be buying it day one. Moving right along, my favorite release from the Criterion collection this year is the Coen Brothers, No Country for Old Men. This is one of my favorite films of all time, so I am slightly biased, but it also has a terrific 4K transfer. It was supervised not only by the Coens, but by the great Roger Deakins, the director of photography for that movie as well. They recycled one of the 5.1 mixes from the older Blu-ray, which is fine. It still sounds great. But, where you get that real organic, just movie look of No Country for Old Men, the 4K upgrade is well worth it. Might be a little bit pricey since it's from Criterion, but if you catch them during one of their 50% off sales, you'll be just fine. So moving along to my next to last category, this is my favorite catalog release of the year. This is a big one that a lot of people have been asking for a very, very long time, and then it came with some controversy, and that's James Cameron's The Abyss. There were a handful of Cameron movies that came out on 4K this year, Abyss being one of them, Aliens, True Lies, The Terminator, and the controversy comes with how these movies are being repurposed for a modern audience and on the 4K format. It is no secret that James Cameron uses software to upscale and, in some ways enhance, in some ways degrade the image quality, depending on who you're talking to. And some of the releases this year were hits and some were misses. Aliens has a little bit of a waxy look. True Lies, not gonna lie, doesn't look all that great, but The Terminator and The Abyss both look very good, and The Abyss was one of the most sought after 4K releases of all time at this point. Very happy to be able to say that it looks great, it sounds great, it's an awesome movie, and it should be part of everyone's collection if you are a collector. So don't let all the forums and all the internet talk bother you. Definitely pick up The Abyss if it is a movie that you're interested in. You will not be disappointed in the release. And then lastly, we come down to just my favorite release of the entire year, which also happens to not be a catalog film, but a new film, and that is, no surprise, Dune Part 2. This is in my top 3 of the entire year of films that released in 2024. It is definitely my favorite disc that has released. Not only is the film just an absolute sci-fi masterwork, it has a terrific video transfer. Some of those beautiful cinematography of the year by Greg Fraser. They do this shoot digital, scan out to film, and then scan back to digital, so it has that kind of old movie feel, even though it's being shot digitally, and then it just has an absolutely raucous Dolby Atmos mix. There is activity everywhere. This is not a new thing for Denis Villeneuve's movies. If you've seen the 4K disc of Blade Runner 2049 or Dune Part 1, you shouldn't be surprised. Dune Part 2 just sounds absolutely insane. And, you know, for that reason, it is my number one overall of the year. So there you have it. A good handful of discs here. You've got Hush, Challengers, No Country for Old Men, The Abyss, Dune Part 2, and then my honorable mentions, Furiosa, North by Northwest, Deadpool and Wolverine, as well as Alien Romulus. But honestly, guys, that's just the tip of the iceberg here. I picked up probably close to 100 discs this year, and most of them have been fantastic. This is just a small sampling of my favorites. But I would love to hear from you. Drop us a comment below and let us know what you think. What are your favorite releases of the year? Are you an avid collector, or am I just some big dumb idiot for buying these physical discs still and not just going the digital route? Or if you are on the digital side of things, how do you consume your digital movies? Are you buying them through iTunes? Are you looking at them through Fandango, Vudu? Do you have a Kaleidoscape, perhaps, which is the real high-end luxury way of doing this? Let us know. We'd love to carry that conversation on below. Stay tuned for more videos from us, and go ahead and make sure to click all the appropriate buttons for subscribe, like, and notifications, and we'll see you guys in the next video.